Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the latest iteration of Distinctly's webinar series, the last of 2025, so very exciting. Today, we're going to be covering why digital PR is crucial in the age of AI search. Before we crack on, very quick introduction of myself. I'm Matt Foster. I've been working at Distinctly for 9 years now, working in digital PR and working in the industry since 2013. So seen a lot of changes since then, and this is just the latest iteration of digital PR development.
Oh, hi, and I'm Ella. I'm a senior digital PR strategist here at Distinctly. I've been in the industry for about 5 or so years now. I've been at Distinctly for just over 2. And yeah, even in the time that I've been working in PR, a lot of change. So excited to get stuck in.
Cool. So what we're going to be covering today, we're going to start off with the customer journey and the latest industry research, just to cover those elements before we get into the nuts and bolts of it all. Going into how AI results and digital PR dovetail off each other, and finally finishing off with the KPIs and key takeaways. Before we get started, a quick note on the journey that we've gone through with digital PR Distinctly, integrating AI processes into digital PR and getting to grips with what the industry looks like and what it means for changing the approaches. Plenty of different formats there. You can see them on the Distinctly website and other channels like Spotify there. So feel free to go and look at those after the webinar. And Distinctly as a whole, B2C focused digital agency, working across many different sectors. We do also do B2B work as well, successfully with clients in the past. So yeah, working across lots of different sectors, lots of experience to talk from.
Cool. So before we jump straight into AI, we just wanted to take a look at how the customer journey has evolved. And the truth is, it's just not as linear as it was before. So it's no longer a straight from trigger to purchase. People spend a lot of time in this sort of what's been coined the messy middle section, which people repeat over and over until they decide to make a purchase decision. And search is happening everywhere now. Whilst Google is still dominating in that area, people are increasingly using social platforms and AI platforms as well to search too. So we know that it's everywhere. And this becomes even more important when you look at sort of the volume of searches that take place. So there was a study of 1.5 billion searches. It found that the average journey stretches across 3.6 platforms before a purchase is made. It took a time of over 10 weeks on average and close to 100 interactions as well. So a huge amount of that sort of discovery, that messy middle stage, but also a lot of opportunity to become visible throughout that stage. So just looking at how search has integrated AIs, specifically looking here at AI overviews and sort of their dominance compared to featured snippets in the SERPs. So we can just see a huge decline really of the featured snippet and a huge incline of the AI overview dominance as well. So we know that this is what people are sort of seeing first. It's where we want to be more visible in this sort of search landscape. And when we look more specifically at when they appear in Google, I think a couple of the key takeaways from this bit, 99.9% appear on informational intent keywords, and then for just over 57% of all question queries as well. So what we're really seeing here is that they appear when consumers in that sort of that learning stage, that stage where they need that education, and that's the real opportunity for us to start building that trust and start, incorporating ourselves into that journey. So just looking at before and after, sort of pre and post AI integration as well, we can see on the right here, this is with the AI overview. It's taking up a huge amount of real estate on that page, and we can see the citations there, and then obviously the sponsored results. So we can see that it's changed a lot. And on top of all their previous AI moves, we've also had AI mode released quite recently. So this essentially replicates the search experience altogether. It makes it more sort of conversational. It looks and feels a lot more like ChatGPT. And it's a very hyper-personalized search experience rather than a sort of universal experience. And it is only the start. Moves are happening so regularly. I think this was only in November, Google launched Gemini 3. And the main takeaway here is that it's becoming more agentic. So it's really guiding people through that journey rather than just answering a specific query, which really moves towards users really completing that journey within the AI flow and not having to look really elsewhere. And how that fits into the messy middle section is really just making that loop a lot less time intensive, more streamlined. The research phase is taking place within that platform. We've just got an example here, best trainers for winter. We can see the internal thoughts from the AI platform. You can see that it's making it less intensive, and then it's surfacing those answers to the customer. But there's a big overlap between optimizing for Google and AIs. But how and why each platform surfaces a brand does have its differences. So when we're looking at Google, it's that domain authority, keyword targeting, internal linking. With AI, we're looking at a much broader sort of topical authority being a leader in that entire sort of topic. Third-party citations like the placements from digital PR coverage and the merit as well, so reviews, social proof. And again, we are in the very early stages, mixed picture really from different marketing teams at different companies. But one of the core takeaways is that all are seeing a change in consumer behavior coming in through these AI platforms.
Cool. So the role of digital PR in all this, and I should say, I forgot to mention at the start of the call, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll try to cover them at the end. We're a lot to cover, but we'll buzz through as quickly as possible. Hopefully we've got time. So what role does digital PR play in all of this? AI is the key metrics that AI uses in order to push material forward. Website authority and brand mentions. Digital PR's core output has always really been website authority, brand mentions, as well as links, etc., which we'll go through in a minute. So there's really a direct path between digital PR and AI. We could stop it there, but we won't. Something that we often see is the fact that digital PR and PR teams have a new audience, whereas previously it was targeting stories targeting people to see. Now it's stories also targeting AI to see, and then the AI will then relay that to people. Before we get too deep into it, just to clarify what exactly digital PR is as a general service. So it works alongside SEO activity to increase organic brand visibility, which is of course important for SEO, but increasingly important for AI optimization now. The activity focuses on a wide range of things, including generating press coverage, links back to the brand website, increasing brand awareness, authority of a brand website, optimizing towards keywords, and then also things like social shares, promoting brand thought leaders, and more. So plenty to cover, all with the aim of increasing organic brand visibility, now also with AI overviews. So what kind of evidence do we have to link these together? Fairly recently, Google's Vice President of Product for Google Search on a podcast said that if a brand or a business is getting coverage in a public-facing article that people end up finding, then that's something that's going to be interesting to AI and for AI crawlers to also find and factor into their service. They're trying to design AIs to be as human as possible. So if we're addressing humans, then we are most likely going to be addressing AIs for long-term gain. Specific data studies, there was a recent one from SEMrush of 1,000 domains, which found that authority score was the leading metric correlating between AI visibility. Sarah Shepherd from Zippy recently did a study which found that branded anchors was the leading metric. And the largest study of all from Ahrefs, 75,000 websites, found that branded web mentions was the leading metric. So different messages from each, but all with a very consistent message. And actually, if we use this Ahrefs one as an example, 7 out of the 11 top factors that they've put forward are directly related to digital PR. Digital PRs have an influence on each of these metrics in our day-to-day work in what we do.
Also, looking at AI campaign activity or digital PR for AI optimization, we can look at this in sort of two different camps. We've got indirect and we've got direct. So indirect is looking at, ranking your website through SEO. So looking at that, increasing authority, increasing those referring domains, and having a sort of, digital PR approach to increasing the SEO value and the authority of the site. And then with direct, that's when it comes to actually getting digital PR placements that are then fully just surfaced in the AI results. And this is best achieved through an organic approach. This is something that we always recommend so that you can target both website optimization and increase brand visibility. But those aspects from digital PR, it's that generating those online conversations, building that brand authority. And then with SEO, it's looking into that EEAT, entities, content optimization, and things like that. The steps for AI exposure. First step, we're looking at assessing the landscape and competitor insights. So the first stage is really just knowing where the brand is currently visible in the AI results. And we can do this by tracking the presence, analyze responses, uncover citations. And we know that visibility tracking is currently in its infancy, but it can be done. We currently use Peak AI for visibility tracking. Through first-party dashboards and through third-party tools. But after those 3 steps, it's that really taking action. So how do we actually improve the visibility in AI search? So looking at benchmarking presence against competitors, we want to identify those gaps. So as you usually do with a digital PR strategy, you're identifying those gaps. We look at the existing metrics and then have a look at new metrics to include when it comes to AI. So the search landscape is shifting, as should our strategies, and therefore the metrics that we are analysing as well. So these can include things like AI presence, brand mentions, branded anchors, and social media mentions as well. And then next step is tracking competitor movement on AI results. So again, we can input the target prompts and key phrases into the platform, have a look at the visibility, sentiment, position of both the brand and its competitors, just to make sure that we're tracking that and staying on top of the sort of current landscape. And then after tracking setup, that's where we really start to identify what those cited sources are, where those brand mentions are, and we start to aim to sort of close that gap. So then moving into 2026, we're wanting to really focus on, if you haven't already, benchmarking against your competitors. That's going to be a key starting point. Being flexible a bit with your KPIs, adapting those. As we said, things are changing, as should the sort of the results that we're analysing as well. And then rather than this replacing a strategy, this should be something that complements your current digital PR strategy. So evolve the existing rather than starting all over again.
Cool. So the second step that we want to be looking at is knowing the publications that we can target as digital PR professionals. This summer just gone, Screaming Frog did a data study looking into the least AI-friendly news websites, which was very interesting for our industry. And essentially, the messaging with this is that if we are wanting to get AI visibility for a brand, then it puts a question mark over whether we want to be targeting these kind of websites. To kind of summarize things, the publications like the BBC being a bit of the pinnacle of PR coverage, it's a great example as to, do we want to target that for a digital PR campaign if the KPI from that digital PR campaign is to increase AI visibility? And I think the question is yes. we do want to target it, but it does depend, as with most things in this industry. And it plays back into the direct, indirect categorization that we had in the previous slide. So if the publication allows AI crawlers to visit and reproduce the content of the website, then there's the opportunity for direct increase in AI visibility in the LLMs and AI results. Whereas if the publication blocks AI crawlers, then we see that as indirect value. So we still get all the value from the authority, from the coverage, feeding back into the to the brand website itself, and then having that indirect impact on rankings, on the SERPs, and then ideally in turn on AI results. And like I say, as digital PR professionals, it's our responsibility to advise on this, to advise on values and target KPIs. Beautiful nuance to the whole strategy. So following on from the Screaming Frog research, we thought we could go further with that. So we've researched hundreds of publications across the industry, covering nearly 7,000 data crossover points, allowing us to compare the AI value, the direct AI value, and the PR value from each publication. As a top level, we found that UK publications allow 2/3 of AI crawlers to use and replicate their content on average. The other side of this being that UK publications block 1 in 3 AI crawlers on average. It fell to less than half for national publications. Only 46% of AI crawlers were allowed to visit national publications. And we also found big opportunity in sector press. So publications within each industry, highly relevant to each industry, where coverage in these publications can provide AI exposure. And just to note, this is the first time sharing publicly, so hopefully it all makes sense, but yeah, you're getting a bit of an exclusive on this. So when we start to map out those 463 data points into PR value and AI value, we get something that looks like this, which I admit is a lot to take in. The PR value being at the bottom with the online circulation, AI value being on the y-axis with the number of AI crawlers allowed to visit the website. And when we start to pick this apart, just to decipher this a bit for you, so each of the dots represents a publication, and then each of the colours represent a sector. So then when we start to have a look at how we'll assess this as a digital PR team to see where the value is, we can put this hierarchy over the chart. And really what we're aiming for is the top right. So top right has high AI value. We're more likely to appear directly in AI results, and high PR value. So it's got a lot of eyes on the content. Moving to the left, with the PR specific column, let's call it. I've particularly used specific rather than low value because that column really denotes they're the publications that are going to be highly specific to the sector. So it's going to be highly relevant, it's going to be an engaged audience. So it's not low, it's more specific. So if we start to focus in on a single colour, so a single sector, so I've identified the nationals here, and we can see that the nationals, they have huge amount of PR value in getting coverage from them. But then when we look at the AI value, it's a real mixed picture. So like we've been talking about, the BBC has a huge PR value, but the AI value, the direct AI value is nothing, because we won't get BBC coverage directly in AI results. So it begs the question, when we're strategizing for a campaign, do we focus on someone like the BBC, or do we look to someone like the Standard, which it still has a very good PR value, a lot of eyes on the publication, and it also has a very high AI value. it allows all AI crawlers to visit and replicate the content of the website, which in turn, it means that we have the online circulation, but then we potentially also have the AI circulation, let's call it, with additional eyes from the AI results. And just so I've included it, the independent, that's kind of that's the peak of what we should be targeting for AI visibility, really, for nationals. It's got the most amount of online circulation, and it allows all AI crawlers to visit the page and replicate that content. And you see this from the hierarchy as well. So cutting down into more specific sectors, I've chosen the business sector because I think it's most relevant to the most people on the call. All brands, businesses can feasibly achieve coverage in these publications. And you can see it's a mixed picture. There are some publications which we can get a lot of AI visibility. There are some which less so. So someone like Bloomberg, similar story to the BBC, where huge amounts of PR value, no AI value. So rather than Bloomberg for a business story, we would target Fortune for a business story in order to get AI visibility, if that is the key metric that we're going for. And a quick note on these publications again, realbusiness.co.uk. It's a localized, hyper-relevant publication to the certain niche. So we don't want to paint it as there's no value in getting coverage there. There's definitely value in getting coverage across a range of publications which allow AI visibility in some spaces. It allows PR value in other spaces. Getting the right eyes on the content is really the key metric that we want to drill into all of our campaigns. And a note on the certain sectors, the hierarchy for the certain sectors, this is judged based on the national publications, whereas if we were looking at the sectors, we really want to be judging it, the ratio based on the natural visibility for publications in this sector. A business publication is naturally going to have less eyes on it than a national publication. So when we start to drill into other sectors, we start to see the opportunity. So food and drink is amazing. Lots of opportunity here to get AI visibility for food and drink brands through direct PR coverage, through digital PR work, for relevant search terms. So there's BBC again, there's the brand name. It's got a huge amount of online circulation, though I think this is BBC Good Food is no longer part of the BBC group. It is a private website now, I believe. So it allows all AI crawlers to use and replicate the content. Similarly, Love Food, less online circulation, but allows AI crawlers. So we can target each of these with a food and drink story, food and drink business story to achieve coverage. Similar with home and garden, a lot of opportunity there for direct AI visibility. Though if we move into a B2B sector like engineering and manufacturing, you can see it's a very different picture. So maybe 60%, 50, 60% block most of the AI crawlers from using and pushing forward their content. So when we approach a campaign for the engineering and manufacturing sector, we would need to strategize with this knowledge in place that we're more limited at getting that direct AI visibility. So we might look more so at the indirect AI visibility and start to build the campaign out that way. So top level of the findings, like I say, it's the first time sharing these publicly, so hopefully it all makes sense. The industries where there's the greatest opportunity for direct AI exposure: food and drink, beauty, law, retail, and education. And then moving down to the bottom with the nationals and regionals, so each of those are less than half. They allow less than half of AI crawlers to visit and use their content. But of course, we need to be thinking of the PR value. So it's it's that nuance at the end of the day, which we need to address as digital PRs and advise on. So like I say, it depends on the campaigns, depends on the KPIs. Do we look at AI openness of publication? Do we look at the PR value that is giving? Or do we look at the SEO value for the indirect versus direct split? Quick note, we are the map that you saw at the start, the one that was a lot, I described it as, it's in beta. It's in development stage. We should be going live with that this month, but if anybody wants an early look at that, I'd be happy to send it across to anyone who gives me an email or a message on LinkedIn. So give me a shout. And just to finish off with targeting publications, there is another method that we want to look at, is worth looking at, which is reverse engineering media lists. So if we've done the strategy like Ellie was talking about, and we know the type of publications or the keywords that we're wanting to target, then we can stick those keywords into ChatGPT, Google, Gemini, and we can have a look at the sources that the AI result is referencing for the result. And by doing that, we know which publications or which websites the AI crawler is saying, hey, this is a good publication to answer this question. So then we can start to include those in media lists. We can start to strategize a campaign around those publications to make sure that we can get featured within those publications for the keywords that are most relevant to us. So to summarize that, knowledge is power. Being able to work with confidence and strategize with confidence is very important, something that we've prioritized here at Distinctly. Lots of opportunity in sector publications for brands to increase AI visibility. And as I touched on at the end, we can tailor stories and content to fit these publications.
Nice. And then moving on to brand messaging. So this is a really important factor, especially when we consider how often these AI results are changing. So a recent study from Ahrefs, AI overviews change every 2 and a bit days, essentially. So it's really important that through our digital PR strategies, we are becoming a leader in the topic. So winning the topic, not the query, is essentially, the best way to stay visible. And this is a similar approach to AI mode as well, because we know that it looks beyond exact keywords, explores related queries. And so our digital PR campaigns and everything that we do need to consider that, that user intent. We don't need to cover absolutely everything with our campaigns, but those closely related entities, those subtopics, sort of broadening that reach and becoming a thought leader within that topic area is of really high importance now, more than ever, really. And then we've just put some official advice from Google as well. And this essentially just leads back into that EEAT, that expertise, experience, authority, trust. And it centers on producing that original, high quality, and really importantly, that people first content. So when we look at this for digital PR, we want to really be creating those quality brand conversations, and it will centering back to that brand purpose. So there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. So just going to dig a little bit deeper into these methods. And the first one is expert promotion. So this is really about tapping into existing conversations, but also creating those relevant conversations as well in the media, promoting your company experts and your leading thinkers, just really extending that digital reach by taking part in those conversations that are happening within that relevant industry. And when we're thinking about the structure of how we're presenting these to journalists, we're really looking at that tactical, that seeding out of the experts. So paying attention to matching research queries in anchors or within the sentence, using a sentence format, and we've got a couple of examples here as well, and then links and brand names among key queries as well. So we're just really focusing on that structuring for that AI readability, as well as structuring it for those journalists and the platforms that we are promoting to. And we do know that journalists have to be a lot more selective at the moment. There's a huge increase in AI generated content. And so that trust, that relationship building with the journalist is becoming increasingly important. And we just put an example here. I think this was a week or two ago. This was covered in Press Gazette, where it was found that the company had been published more than 500 times in the UK press, but upon further investigation, it didn't look like the experts that they were sort of submitting for these quotes were real. So yeah, a lot of caution, I think, on journalist sides and fairly so as well. But that's just, yeah, the onus is on us to really increase that trust and build those relationships now.
Excuse me. Data and unique insights we found is very important and a great way to increase AI visibility. I kind of like to say that AI results want to answer the question without people visiting the website. Google wants to answer the question within its platform. So data insights can be a great way to give AI what it wants, essentially. It wants up-to-date, relevant information that answers the user's questions. So if we can do that as a brand, then we're on to a winner. Do this by creating report material that fits in with the conversations that might be happening around the brand. And we can go on to leverage this for press material as well to generate the direct coverage. And that can look like desk-based research. It could be survey data insights, tapping into the news agenda and industry commentary, and also the designed visual elements that can tap into things like social coverage. And like I say, be the brand which gives AI what it wants. It wants most recent relevant information, and it wants to answer the questions. So the more we can do this, the more opportunity that we're giving ourselves to be part of the wider conversation around the brand messaging. In terms of designing the content, the report content, let's say, for a data-led report, the focus is on the passage retrieval rather than page retrieval. So we need to make sure that we're putting passages that answer the questions from that people are asking AI into our content to make sure that we're giving ourselves the best opportunity for that to be replicated. Designing for both PR coverage and AI crawlability in mind. And here's a good example where simply by factoring in the most key points in a succinct way can help us to generate AI visibility through a data study. And then furthermore, on top of that, we can start to dominate the AI results with that data study if we're covering a lot of topics within that study. And we can also go on to, like I referenced a couple of slides ago, we can go on to target direct AI visibility by promoting that data study to publications to start to dominate the AI results even further.
Cool. So yeah, talking about the direct press story, we reference indirect and direct. This is just an example here using a digital PR activity to get into those AI overviews. So we've got here the search being best autumn walks Cornwall. And you can see there what it surfaced is a brand's PR story, top 5 best autumn walks in Cornwall, which was featured on Yahoo News. So just an example of that going straight through, being pulled straight through to the AI platforms as a result of that digital PR coverage. But when we're focusing on sort of that ideation stage, this is what's really important, is that knowing the relevant informational searches. So say you start with the topic and that's UK staycation. We want to extend that thinking out, especially during the ideation stage, to make sure that within our content, within our campaigns, we are addressing some of these points as well, which will increase the chances of showing up for those sort of related queries too. And then, yeah, just an example of tracking AI exposure from PR placement. So we can see and we know from the study that we sort of teased earlier that the standard allows AI bots to crawl the site. So this is just an example piece of coverage that was in the standard and has obviously surfaced in ChatGPT. So moving forward into 2026, a huge amount of focus should be on brand purpose, making sure that this is echoed throughout all of those different touch points as well. Looking at the core service or product area, but identifying topics around this as well, so for you to tap into. So it's still relevant, but that visibility is increasing. Really targeting those messy middle users as well, those that are in that sort of needing to learn in the education stage and building that trust at that point in the journey. A diverse strategy, and then also utilising what's readily available to you. So that great data that you've got, great experts at the company and things like that. And then relationship building with journalists, just really building that trust and those authentic relationships to ensure, better relationships in the future. And then just looking at customer sentiment and social conversations as well. I think we know by this point, you need to have a presence wherever your audience is. And presence on socials is also really important so that it just gives you greater control of that sentiment. So if people are posting about the brand, having a say within that conversation as well, you're essentially not only reaching that target audience on the platform, but you're also giving AI more to feed off of, so which can help to control the overall sentiment. And yeah, so combining social and search, increasingly important. We want to really showcase that expertise, build a sense of trust, especially during that messy middle stage before customers are then moving on to that purchase stage. Sparking conversation online, tapping into those relevant conversations and being visible where it matters. And yeah, serving content in formats as well suited to your audience. So all of these things are really important to be considered moving forward within digital PR strategies. And we also know that social media platforms, they do surface in the search engine results page and also in AI results. So we've just got a breakdown here of sort of the presence of social media in both Google and Google AI. We know that Reddit appears a lot. It's things like amplifying your coverage to platforms like this that will really sort of be a turning point. And as I just mentioned there, so amplifying existing coverage. So we want to really increase that reach and share it across different platforms. Also, when you're looking at your campaign materials, say, for example, we're looking at the visuals, the graphics, we want to consider that shareability. Will people want to share this? Will it be able to cross channels? Is the format right for being shared across channels? All considerations that we need to make now. And then also user-generated content as well, engaging with those social media influencers who often have an audience of sort of highly engaged, high intent people that are watching their content. So really worth including that in your strategy as well. And then just an example here of Reddit being cited for informational searches as well. So you say if you did have a campaign around which countries are best to invest in, resharing that coverage or resharing that campaign on those social media platforms can really be a way to just amplify that reach. And then when we're looking at reviews as well, so we know that generating positive reviews is the responsibility of the whole company, but we can manage this as well. So everyone straight after this call, if you want to, can go away and ask AI to sort of rate my brand. But looking at this a little bit deeper, and by pulling quite a lot of review data, we can really look at sentiment analysis, have a look at the positives, have a look at the negatives, and then using this within our ideation as well. So finding those key points, those maybe key sticking points, and creating those press materials that can support a change in narrative. As I said, for the social media input as well, giving AI results essentially more to work with and having more of a say in what AI says about your brand. So moving forward into 2026, being open to campaign KPIs, obviously, as we've said, search is changing, our strategies are changing, and so do the things that we need to measure. creating campaigns that perform across different channels. So thinking about the formats, the shareability, and then bringing internal teams together to also cross promote across different platforms.
So just to wrap things up with KPIs, obviously a very important part of what we do as digital PRs and making sure that there are KPIs, measurable KPIs there. One of the things that we can do is look at how often your brand is being featured, specifically in Google AI overviews. It's a proprietary tool, but it's possible to scrape Google AI overviews and pull the frequency of how much your brand appears, essentially. So that gives a nice overview of coverage and visibility. It's a visibility metric, essentially. We are able to track some of the clicks coming from Google's AI overviews and AI mode, AI results pages. I think one of the core messaging from the KPI elements is that it is early stages. There's development happening. There isn't the hard visibility information that there is across other platforms, but by setting up things like this, we can get ahead of the game, essentially. And as the industry grows, as the visibility improves, or the visibility metrics improve, then we're already acting on the information that's available to us now. So yeah, we can track clicks with a custom GA4 setup. The limitation with this is that it depends on the structure of the URL. So URLs with this kind of structure, we can track. And ultimately, it's about collating all the information that we can track through GA4, where you can see referrals from certain platforms and the elements that I was just saying about the tracking citations and the visibility. It's about collating those all together and acting on it now, strategizing on it now to put ourselves in a good position in a year or two's time, when it will be increasingly important, which is one of the key takings that I'd say moving into 2026, focusing on that long-term ROIs, and to reference back to the beginning, routing KPIs in the original competitor research is really what we'd advise for clients. So to give you a very quick summary, we won't go through all this because I'm very conscious of time. Yeah, it's moving fast. Keep up to date with it. Keep watching webinars. Keep up to date with the Distinctly webinars. We'll be sharing more information. Give me a shout if you would like access to any of the data that we've discussed on this call. And yeah, there's definitely a huge opportunity there to increase AI visibility, depending on for all sectors, really. So we're happy to advise on the nuance depending on your sector. So I did say at the beginning that there would be a little bit of time for questions. We are close to the end of the 45 minutes. We've probably got a minute, but if you would like to stay on the call, feel free to do so. I understand if you need to jump off. But yeah, I'd like to open the floor to any questions if you do have any. Feel free to unmute yourself and pipe up. I will check the chat. No questions in the chat. We'll wait here for a second for any questions if you do have any. But if not, thanks for attending. Okay, no questions. That's all good. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks for coming, and we will see you on the next one.